Oh, welcome to the last Sunday of Epiphany, this whole Epiphany season that starts just after Christmas and sort of bridges us all the way to the beginning of Lent. From the wonder of the Incarnation, where all of heaven and earth falls to its knees at the miracle of the Incarnation, all the way up where we put ashes on each other's foreheads and remind each other that we will die. This season of Epiphany, we tell stories of the glorious manifestation of love in this world. He calls disciples, turns water into wine, fills nets to overflowing with fishing, proclaims that God's kingdom is here now. And just before today's reading in the Gospel, he has told everyone again that the Son of Man will be handed over to suffering and death, and after 3 days, rise again, and if you want to come with him, you also get a cross. I don't think any of us probably understand that any better than the original disciples. At the beginning of this verse, it's 8 days later. So he's given them like over a week to deal with this and goes off to pray, up to a mountain. Jesus is always going off to try and find somewhere to pray, but normally he does it alone. He does a lot of things alone, but this time, I think maybe he needs some friends to come along with him. This time he needs a couple of friendly faces on his journey. And Jesus seems to know exactly what it is that is his to do. He is ready to walk steadily into the systems of death without losing hold of love. Most of the time when Jesus prays, he is alone, and therefore we don't have a lot of descriptions of what his face normally looks like when he prays. And part of me wonders if the only thing different about this time is that they see him. If every time Jesus prays, his entire face is lit up with the glory of love. And my favorite part in this whole story, we've got mountains and blinding light and prophets, and the disciples almost fall asleep. That's amazing. That is some commitment to being tired in the morning. This is so boring. They keep their sleepy eyes open just long enough to glimpse this witness of love. They manage to stay awake, and even as they are confused, they manage to be able to hold that story for each other and later for us. In this morning's reading from Exodus, Moses comes down from talking to God, and his face is shining, and it scares his friends. So he covers up his face with a veil so that his friends can handle hanging out with him after he has been in the presence of love. And then you guys remember Elijah, right? He was the one who, hundreds of years later, goes up to the same mountain where Moses has gotten those commandments. And God is great and powerful, and the mountains are torn apart, and the rocks are shattered. The Lord is not in the wind, or the earthquake, or the fire. But after the fire comes a gentle whisper. And Elijah hears it and pulls his cloak over his face and goes out and stands at the precipice. Elijah has heard the whisper of love, and Moses has seen the glory of God, and in today's story, they both come back to another mountain where they see the glory of God and hear the whisper of love. And I wonder who but these two guys would really understand what Jesus is up to. Apparently, Jesus is able to call more friends with him than maybe he originally thought for his trip up the mountain. God's presence on this earth is illuminating, and sometimes it is like pillars of cloud and fire that lead you through the desert, or a lamp that you put on a stand, or tongues of flames on the heads of people who are still learning how to pray. The glory of God is the light of the world that the darkness cannot overcome. And Moses and Elijah have come to talk to Jesus about his departure. And the word that Luke uses is Exodus. Moses has come to talk to Jesus about his own project of leading the people of God out of captivity into freedom. And this is the light of the world, and the glory of God shines through the face of incarnate love as he's in the midst of prayer. And then comes the cloud that overshadows everything. Perhaps it is the same cloud that led the people of God through the wilderness by day. Perhaps it is the same cloud into which Jesus ascends after the resurrection. Whatever this cloud is, it softens things just enough that the disciples could hear the soft whisper of love, saying, "This is my beloved, this is my chosen, this is my child." This is love walking in the world. And so I pray that we may see what God sets before us in this coming season. I pray that whatever your Lent and Holy Week and Easter hold for you, it is lit up with the mystery of love. I pray that when the shadows come and the clouds descend, it softens things just enough for you to hear the whisper of love. I pray that that whisper, that still, quiet voice that is neither fire nor earthquakes or the devastations of this world, transforms your face too. Pray that you manage to stay awake and not miss the glory of love when it comes. And I pray that when you need them, some good friends show up to stand beside you. Amen.